Hi, welcome to the Raiden Productions podcast. I'm Jordan Martinez.
And I'm Scott Stevenson.
And today we're talking about the PSA we recently produced.
So today we're going to just do like a little behind the scenes, kind of show you everything that went into it and sort of our day on set. This is kind of a new format that we're doing where we're kind of breaking down, doing some behind the scenes of some of the shoots that we've done. If you guys like this, we're also going to be doing the Raiden reviews of other movies and stuff, maybe even past movies, older movies. But if you like this format where we're talking about music videos or commercials or things that we've worked on, go ahead and leave us some comments down below. We'd like to hear your feedback.
It was very quick. It was maybe like 3 days we put this thing together. And initially, we wanted to shoot it here in this podcast studio, but there was a big actor that suddenly got brought on board, and I just thought it wasn't a good idea to shoot it here.
The scale of the video just became bigger and bigger, and it just made more sense to have a professional studio and really just bring a full crew. And this area didn't really facilitate what we really wanted and envisioned for the project. So we kind of went on the hunt for finding a studio. That was kind of like our first challenge. And how did you find the place that we ended up with?
Yeah, so there's a place called a very
good space.
Yeah, I keep calling it a very creative space. It's a very good space in Van Nuys, and the gentleman that owns it is very, very kind, very nice guy.
Yeah, shout out to them. They did a great job hosting us. It is a very good space. It's amazing. We'll show some pictures of it here.
Such a great space, such an awesome team. Definitely recommend shooting there. They really helped us out. Like, we did not really have a great budget for this shoot, and it is a veteran PSA, the National Veterans Foundation, which is controlled and founded by Shad Mashad. He is a Vietnam War veteran who went down in a helicopter back in Vietnam, and miraculously he survived. He's definitely somebody that cares about veterans. Shad Mashad approached me and he said there's 80,000 VA jobs that have disappeared, so he wanted to get this out as soon as possible so veterans can call his organization. Our initial idea was to shoot it here. It grew, like Scott just said, and they had a very small budget. A very good space worked with us on our budget. It was, I won't even say it, but it was extremely low, and a very good space worked with us with our budget, and we had 4 hours to shoot this thing.
Yeah, they're super accommodating. They have a lot of stuff there. So they have a big like softbox so that if you do like a car shoot, you can lower down the softbox. It has a bunch of light matte Auroras in there. I think there's 4 of them, as well as it has like a full cyc all the way around that is completely outfitted with vortexes and a bunch of different movers. And they also have on the other side a full like LED wall that's available. And they do like different packages depending on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to. They're really good at like working with you and working with like what you're trying to do throughout the day. If you want to just half of your time on the white cyc and then half of your time like on the LED wall, or if you're doing the full day. Also, as far as accommodating for your talent, they have a bunch of really nice like green rooms and really nice like bathrooms and different facilities and hair and makeup areas and just little couches and lounges all around. It's just a really nice place to hang out. Full elephant doors. You can pull cars in there, bring all your stuff in there really easy.
And it's also DMX control the lights at the very top. So what we were able to do was pre-light before. So
yeah, it's all running off blackout. It's on an iPad, so it's really simple to just dial it in.
Because this budget was so extremely low, and we also didn't have a lot of time with one of the main talents, Joe Mantegna. He's popular for Criminal Minds. He's in The Godfather Part 3. He also voices Mo, the gangster, in Simpsons. He's been doing that for the entire seasons of the show. Yeah. And he's a nice gentleman. I've actually known him for many years. This is the 3rd time I've met him in person. Big veteran supporter, him, Gary Sinise. And so he only had 2 hours to do this thing, so we knew we had to be very efficient.
Pre-production was huge, just making sure that we were just respectful of his time, able to just get in and get out, get what we needed.
I think people really appreciate that when you do pre-production. And so I was the director of this. I essentially created the shot list, and then I scheduled the entire thing. We had 3 lenses. We're very thankful to On the Mark Media. They also helped us out tremendously with Zeiss Supreme Primes. I've had a relationship with them for a while. Scott has known them for a long time as well, the owner out there.
Yeah,
very
we
nice gentleman.
rented from them quite a few times. They're not too far away from us, so they hook it up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely a great place to get your gear. They respond very fast, and they're great to work with. They're very nice people. And so I told them about the project. They knew it was a veteran PSA, and so they worked with us in our budget to get these amazing lenses. They should have been probably 4 or 5 times what they charged us. So very thankful to them for that. And so we knew we had a 25, 50, and 85 millimeter lens. And so my shot list I made it so, working with that knowledge and then also scheduling it. So replacing the lens takes about, I would say about 7 minutes. You got to take the matte box off. You got to take the follow focus off.
So
You have to recalibrate.
Want to reduce the amount of times you have to pull a lens. So you want to just shoot out a specific lens. And then, so I wanted to kind of go, we can talk about this. I kind of wanted to go in the order of, let's shoot everything on the 85 or shoot on the wide, then the medium close or something like that. And then, looking at the shot list, I was like, hey, how come we're not doing this? And then you brought it to my attention that we need to shoot out Joe Mantegna and just get all his coverage and get him out of there.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really, maximize our lens changes. We had to just kind of go in order and just get all of his coverage and get him out of there for the day. And I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
He was really surprised actually when we were wrapped. We're like, yeah, that's it. That's all we need. Thank you so much. Have a good day. And he was like, really? Is that it? Like, you guys are done? You got everything you needed? And so I think we were just like, bam, 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 and just got everything we needed really quick.
He was there at 10:30. He had to get out there at 12:30. So I knew this about a day or two ahead of time. And so obviously that reflects on the schedule, like what Scott was saying. He's like, hey, why can't we shoot it to favor the production and make it overall a smaller day or a faster day? And like I brought to his attention that Joe Mantegna had a certain block of time. So we came there hot and heavy at 10 o'clock. That's when we were able to get into the facility. We had the camera ready. We had pre-light the day before. And essentially we got Joe out of there 45 minutes early. So we only shot with him in an hour and 15 minutes. Now, when he got there at 10:30, we had an amazing makeup artist. She's also a veteran. It took her about, 15 minutes to get him fully makeup. And she knew the schedule too. She knew that he was going to be shot out first. We actually shot the last shot first, the 2S shot with Shad and Joe Mantegna when they come up to the screen. I knew I needed a shot with them both to kind of hone it in, and the dialogue made it make sense to have them both in the shot together at the very end. So we shot that shot first. Thankfully, we had it all pre-lit. So we had it on an iPad where we knew there was one setup that's red, one setup that's like, not red, and we just had it all pre-lit into DMX control.
Yeah, we just labeled all of our stuff, so it was just easy to go between our setups really quickly. Our changes in lighting were minimal. Maybe it was just like walk something in, pull it out, add diffusion, that kind of thing. So it didn't really take more than like 2 minutes or so to just kind of readjust and get our levels back to where it was. But it definitely would have been easier if we just kind of like kept each setup and just ran through. But because we knew we had to be fast, we also made sure we had enough people on our crew to get everything going. We brought in another guy, Russell, to help us out. He was our first AD. Brought another friend of mine who, Luis, shout out to you. He helped us out with some sound. And then Christian as well. He was our focus puller, first AC. And with all these guys just helping us out, my role was kind of like gaffer, key grip, kind of just helping out everybody. Everybody was just kind of helping everybody. Just kind of, we all kind of knew what to do and worked well as a team and just kind of got it done. And we knew that speed was really the whole thing. We didn't want to cut corners. We still wanted the thing to look really great and the performances to be good and the coverage to be good. In the back of our mind, we wanted things to be moving quickly.
Yeah, no, it was great. Everyone was, and when you plan out these things, and I try to tell people there that I talk to that are new directors, and I try to tell them you need to have a shot list. And then if you don't have the money for an AD to like really like go in depth and schedule your thing, you got to do it yourself. That's part of the directorial department. And so I have essentially one shot list that's like my creative endeavor, and then I turn that creative part off and I do the logistics, and I take lighting into account, lens changing, actors' time, performance, the studio schedule, how complex the shot is. Now, the really awesome thing about our shoot was because we had such a great crew and a great team, and we were able to pre-light there. They were a very good space, let us pre-light there, which they didn't have to do.
Yeah, they didn't charge us for it. They could have easily charged us for it.
They could have definitely charged us for it. And we took up about maybe, an hour and 15 minutes to pre-light. So we went into the stage, we controlled all the lights on DMX Control, and then we made presets of it and named it, like Scott said. And all we had to do is really press a button and then move the rolling light that's essentially... I guess that would be our key light.
We had a vortex on the ground that we kind of wrapped in, and then we just threw a 4x of some opal in front of that with 4x LCD, just to kind of control the spill off of the background. and then we had some red that was kind of coming from the little Orions up in the grid, and then we had our Auroras, which is kind of giving us like a little bit of top light, a little bit of ambience, and that was it. Oh,
Yeah.
also, what was the other one? Another Orion that was kind of giving us like a little orange edge
Well, the
light.
aperture too. We had a Fresnel. That
That
was
was Orion.
that was Orion. Okay,
Yeah,
my bad.
the Orion was giving us like an
The
orange,
tungsten
yeah,
looking one.
tungsten
Yeah.
looking, yeah.
I thought it was aperture for some reason. But yeah, no, that pre-light saved us so much time because we have our own cameras, by the way. And so a lot of productions will charge for camera prep. And if you go with Raiden Productions on your next production, we actually don't charge that. We actually will prep it depending on how complex the camera package is. But if you rent our camera package, we prepped it right here in this studio.
Showed
And
up, ready to go. Everything's built, tested it the day before, so we didn't have to waste time. A lot of times when you get on set, it's
yeah,
arrive, everything's in Pelican cases, and then you're opening up all the cases, pulling all the cables, getting everything ready to go, and it can be like 45 minutes to an hour of just like
easy,
just putting the camera together.
easy.
So it was great to just hop out at the studio, plug everything in. We knew it already was working and put together correctly, and just start rolling.
Easy 30 45 minutes. And because we did that here, we also testing out the monitors, making sure that we have directors monitors, that they're being tethered properly with Teradek.
Yeah,
And
wireless video, wireless focus, everything working
so we
properly.
put it in our car, and it's sitting right there in the front seat. It has Teradek on it, it has focus on it, it has everything, it has the lens on it. And we literally, all I do is take it, boom, put it on sticks, because I know every single second there is very, very, very valuable, especially in a studio that is letting us shoot there for 4 hours max, and we have to get out of there for another production, and it's a time game. So we got there, our heads were in the game, and Joe came 30 minutes later, 15 minutes into makeup, boom, he walked right up on the stage, boom, we were shooting, got him out of there in an hour and 15 minutes, shot some nice BTS photos with him. He's a true gentleman, very big veteran supporter, and gave us all coins. It was a nice moment, and we made him have a nice day. He had 45 minutes of his day extra, which he's probably very thankful for, and he'll
This is
remember
great.
that.
This is great too, of like finishing a little bit earlier because it gave us more time with Shad,
Mm-hmm.
who was not as comfortable on camera. So we had to do a few more takes to kind of get him out of his shell and get sort of the performances that we needed and kind of wanted from him, and kind of rein him in because sometimes he was a little bit over the top, and then just getting him to kind of give us the delivery that we needed. But it was really nice to not be stressed about time, to be able to get so many different performances and also different angles. We ended up doing some other creative angles that we maybe didn't even schedule. They were definitely not in the shot list, but we're able to spend a little bit extra time and go up in the scissor lift. And we went up there in the scissor lift and we got some nice overhead shot that ended up being in the final cut, and it looked fantastic. And that's just another benefit of being able to like give yourself extra time so you can be more creative and be more flexible and get stuff that you maybe not didn't think that you could have originally.
So that's actually my favorite shot, is the scissor lift shot, and it's the second shot you'll see in the PSA. And essentially Shad, who's the founder of the National Veteran Foundation, he looks up and he has his arms like this.
Yeah.
And that shot took about maybe 30 minutes to do, 35 minutes depending. But it takes coordination, it takes time. And because we had 45 minutes early, because of how well we planned it and how well we executed it, we didn't expect to have that 45 minutes. So we sat there and I've said, okay, cool. Well, guess what? We have 45 minutes, team. Like, this is a unique position to be in. Usually you're just like so freaking, gunning as much as you possibly can. We had already shot the shot, so we were already safe. We had that shot in the can, and we're like, can we be more creative with this? And we
Yeah,
looked
it
at
was a want situation rather than a need situation.
it was 100% a want, and we're like, well, what if we could use a scissor lift? And then thankfully the owner at a very good space was kind enough. He could have charged us, and he didn't. And we took the scissor lift, we went up, it was me and Scott, we had the focus puller on the ground, boom, I'm holding it over the edge. It is semi-dangerous. You need to make sure you have people that are competent and strong and can do this, because bad things can happen. We've seen cameras drop on sets, and especially if they're above a talent or whatever, you got to be extremely careful, guys. You can really cause some damage if you drop a camera at that height on a talent. So we were able to get up there, do it safely. Scott was safetying me. He was controlling the scissor lift. I was holding the camera. Christian was pulling focus at the bottom, and we were able to get that shot probably within 35 minutes max.
And
And
also safety thing. What's great about that space too is having all the stuff already up there, all the lighting already up in the grid, and not having to have any of our own guys go up in the scissor lift and rig anything, and not have to hire a bunch of
yeah,
grips to go up there and rig a bunch of stuff in, speed rail and whatnot up in the grid and all that lights, and then have to
or high roller it,
yeah, or have to pull all of them
yeah,
down at the end of the shoot. We could just turn everything off and just go home. So it was really nice.
yeah. It was very, very smooth shoot. I think we both definitely want to be shooting at that space again. I would recommend filmmakers to go check that space out. I mean, there's other studios, but a very good space is a very good space.
You want to talk about the post production a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about post production for sure. Post production it was a lot. Scott pretty much did most of the heavy lifting on that. For me, I'm kind of used to doing everything on my own, but Scott and I have been working together for the past 2 years, and he's
Yeah,
kind of been taking more of the editorial role and allowed me to really kind of sit back and
yeah. I wanted him to be more of a director, and then so I kind of did my first like edit. I mean, obviously I was on set, so I kind of saw it all go together. But I wasn't part of writing the script, and I wasn't really part of like making the shot list. So the first time I was like presented really with the material was like the night before, and then like kind of on set was like the first time I'm like really getting familiar with it. So Jordan was really familiar with like the whole script and how everything went together. So I was a little nervous, like not knowing how it all flows. But once I sat down and started looking at all the footage and got the script and was reading it, it all started making more sense and was able to like flow pretty well. And it definitely helped shooting the project and then going to edit it and being more familiar with it rather than just like handing it off to an editor who has no clue of how this is supposed to all flow together. And especially because it wasn't really shot in order, it's kind of like jumping all over the place. So it was really good that we slated it correctly. And yeah, the sound was really good. The images were fantastic. It was pretty easy to color everything. We did a really good job with the exposure, I feel like. My first cut, I put a lot of like different sound effects and like cutaways and different sort of like motion graphics and stuff like that. I use motion array. We use motion array. We have an account there where you can get a bunch of different like assets and sound effects and different AI tools and things like that. And then also, I basically did like a cut like that. And then Jordan came in and gave me a bunch of notes, which I felt like was really helpful. And we kind of culled it down and refined the different parts and basically found better performances and different takes that were better. Maybe we cut in or punched in on a different take. Kind of just got like the best performances we could, and then maybe kind of dialed back some of the VFX. And then that was probably like our second or third cut. And then I think you went in and looked into the Adobe stock stuff and started pulling some Adobe. We have also an Adobe account through Adobe stock. And there's a bunch of footage. I don't know, what is it, 8K, 6K?
yeah.
It's like really high quality stock footage. So we use some of that to kind of pepper in throughout and tell the story with the funeral, the family, the war scene. There's just a lot of footage that the homeless guy, different footage that we, originally thought maybe we needed to go out and shoot some B-roll to kind of reinforce this story. But the Adobe stuff like really kind of filled in those gaps to really tell the story a much better. And I feel like it really connected the whole thing together.
Yeah, so how I think of it is when you're directing, a lot of brain power is being used, and editorial is also brain power. And it was nice to be able to walk away from it for about 48 hours and just not even think about it, and then seeing an assembly cut that was, I knew there was a lot of notes I had to make. We didn't have a script supervisor there, which would normally put which shots were the best or, the ones that the director liked. But I knew in my head, because I was camera operating and directing it, that I knew which ones I thought were the best performances. And, we were able to work with that. And so that was maybe in about, I would say the third edit was when it was really starting to look presentable. And then at that point, Scott was like kind of a little bit burnt out from editing, and so I went in and I knew we needed some B-roll to help the pacing of the PSA. We went in Adobe Suite. It's actually very cheap to get these clips, guys, and it's way more
It
expensive to
was
try
like
to shoot these fucking things.
$15 or something, I think, for each one of them. What?
4K.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like I think it was like $20, but like if you want someone to go
But the
there
time of sending someone out to go shoot something like that would have been $1,000 at
and
least.
oh yeah, and then the
At the very
time,
least, yeah.
yeah, and then the time it takes to get the clip, and then you don't know how good it looks, and you can see it right then and there, and be like, boom, I like that clip. And if you look at the PSA, it's very, very quick. But when he talks about family, I knew I wanted to see something there. When he talked about veteran and no, don't leave somebody behind. All these little things I knew we needed to see something there.
Just reinforce
And
that
we
point,
just
yeah.
and you just don't have the budget really to go out and go capture additional footage. It's just not practical. So, with an extra $60, you can really, really add that special touch to these type of projects, guys. Highly encourage it.
Yeah.
And
When you have good ingredients, whether it's stock footage stuff or stuff that you've captured on set, it really helps to bring the whole piece together. I always say that filmmaking or editing is kind of like cooking, and it's like you can only be so good of a cook if you don't have good ingredients to start with. If you have like spoiled onions and rotten meat, how are you going to make a good meal, right? But if you have great ingredients and fresh products, you have awesome shots, good sound, all that kind of stuff, and you put it all together and you mix it up, you cook it up, you're always going to have like a really good project when you have stuff to work with. And there's also a lot less fixing and altering. A lot of that is like when you have problems, if a shot is shaky and you have to stabilize it, or if something's out of focus, or it's when you're usually like fixing problems. But when you don't have any of those problems going into it and the footage is really clean, it just goes together really well and ends up
yeah, it
with a
makes
good
it
product.
enjoyable too, because what you're working on is worth your time, and people are going to enjoy it.
It almost makes it harder because you have so many good takes that you don't know which one to pick. You have a lot of good options. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a golden place to be in. So Scott put in there some sounds that I wasn't super sure about, and I thought they worked decently. They weren't like terrible sounds, but I didn't know if they worked for this type of story. So I listened to it. And I know he put a lot of work in, and he also put in this glitch feature. And when you're editing, you're using all the brain power you have, and sometimes you need a director, a secondary person to really look at it and digest what is being communicated. And so we actually got rid of pretty much all those sound effects and the glitch feature, and then we put in a new sound in there that I felt was a lot cleaner. And that's the creative process of editing or filmmaking in general. It's a collaborative thing. So it's a team sport.
It's good to have different perspectives, because when he originally looked at it, he just thought it would go together clean, and I'm like, it needs something. It needs some texture. It needs some sound effects. It needs to go together. And then once he saw that, he's like, yeah, I agree that it needs something, but not for this project. It doesn't work really for this project. So we kind of figured out like something that would still work for the project and the tone and the vibe of what we're trying to do, but still like enhance it with the sound.
Yeah, I think it was a nice touch. And then, obviously we got rid of the glitches and we put in the B-roll. And I think that was something that we both came together on. Scott, is addressing that, hey, it needs something additional visual, something additional sound-wise, but it needs to be tweaked a little bit. So together we were able to really kind of figure out what it needed as a team. And that's what makes the process, flow a lot better.
Definitely good to have a lot of eyes on it.
Those Ice Supreme primes were amazing. We owned a DZO Cata Ace zooms, and we would have shot this on that, but we wanted to elevate the production just a little bit more, and I think it was worth going out of our way to see it. I mean, the quality definitely, I think, is there. Those lenses definitely helped it. So thanks again to On The Mark Media for hooking us up with those lenses.
And a very creative space, very good space.
Yeah, and a
for
very good space.
Hosting us.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm Jordan Martinez.
And I'm Scott Stevenson.
And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.